a Fatal 4-Way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fatal 4-Way podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Lopez, alongside owner-operator of Anime Fun TV, Ernest, Zamora, as well as host of Card Game Central, my best friend for about 15 years, Chris, SeiferA, and my other best friend, Jonathan, is now joining, and we do have a Fatal 4-Way podcast.
Yes, we have 4 people now.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about. After this quick commercial break, we're going to be talking about the 2 matches at the 3 matches that have been confirmed at Fast Lane, and we'll be right back with that, with our predictions.
They say it's not the destination, it's the journey. Well, this time they're wrong. Right now, it's all about where we're going. And there's only one way to get there. One path, one straight shot. Because after this, there's no turning back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going to be talking about Fastlane and some predictions on the matches, the 3 confirmed matches, and the face-off. Jonathan, Fastlane, what do you expect out of the pay-per-view?
Fastlane looks like it's going to be an interesting card. I mean, part of it is some people. I mean, a lot of things that I've been reading, a lot of things I've been saying or hearing is that this one is actually going to be kind of forgettable, just because it's a new setup. I mean, obviously it's no elimination chamber, so it's not got that huge hook to it. A lot of the matches and face-offs. Personally, I think WWE, if they do it right, which is always a big if they do it right, can build up a lot of stories. I mean, the key thing with it is you've got the 3 major announced matches already. You've got the Cena-Rusev. Cena will probably win by disqualification. Not that he will cause a disqualification, but they can't have Rusev lose at a no-name pay-per-view. You just can't. If he's going to lose, it's going to be at WrestleMania. If he's going to win, he's going to basically pull a Brock on John and beat the crap out of him and then build up some kind of story there. You've got, of course, the Reigns-Bryan situation, and that one's a big if. You know, the thing that I have going in my head right now is the people who are down on Reigns as the chosen one, as to whether or not he's ready, as to whether or not he should win at WrestleMania. It's not even necessarily about him. There's just, you've got these factions in the community who think there are other people who are more ready, like Rusev maybe, like Bray Wyatt maybe, like Ziggler maybe, and that by putting Reigns so specifically in that key situation, and then especially since Brock is another question mark, is he going to stay or not? If he wins, obviously he's staying a little bit longer. And even if he does win, you had the Rollins question, and that's kind of pretty much been answered at this point from our previous discussion. I don't see him pulling out the briefcase, or if he does, he just gets murdered, basically, by either Brock or Roman, or both. At this point, they're just like super punishment. Roman's laid out in the corner while Brock beats the crap out of him, and Brock leaves, Roman gets up. Oh, by the way, 7 Superman punches later, we're done. And Rollins lays there, for half an hour after the show.
In the fetal position.
Just kind of rocking himself to sleep. But the actual specific storyline of Reigns versus Bryan is the hot ticket, obviously.
Of course.
That was what everyone was like, oh, he showed up at the Rumble, bam, he's going to win. And then didn't eliminate anybody, and he was gone. And everyone's like, the crap? Well, to me, that made more sense, storyline-wise, because I look at all, and that's kind of why I'm here, because I look at it from a storyline perspective. Yes, I know all the little background stuff. I know what's going on in real life. I don't really care. I'm basically a writer, sitting there in the writer's room saying, what do I do with these characters? Not with, what does the internet wrestling community care about?
Exactly.
What is my story that I want to tell and try and draw you in, whether you love it or hate it? And to me, Bryan getting eliminated in the Rumble the way he did was perfect. Because he hadn't been around for how long?
Yeah.
Hadn't wrestled for how long? Regardless of how good his training was, regardless of how much we all love him, storyline-wise, that was perfect. Because he's once again the underdog.
Yep.
He's once again, okay, he needs our support. We want to love him back into the title, basically. We want to make sure that he knows he's our superhero.
Yep.
And, up until he, resumed. And then, of course, you have Roman and his injury.
Yeah.
So I commend WWE for their loyalty to these two men.
Yep.
The fact that they were gone for months, but the company made sure we didn't forget them. They didn't lose their relevancy, and we didn't forget the fact that they were major players on their own.
Yep.
That once the Shield splintered, Roman and Ambrose became major players on their own.
Yes.
And okay, so Roman can't necessarily cut a promo. Neither can Brock. I mean,
neither could The Rock when he first started.
Nope, he was boring as crap. He really was. He just went out there and was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't care about you. You have a colorful outfit that spins around when you dance. At least Roman came out in the vest. He was imposing. He just stared at it and you were like, oh, crap. So my predictions down the line are obviously, like I said, John wins by DQ. Rusev makes him KO or something, or ties him up on the ring ropes and beats the crap out of him and gets DQ'd. Something like that. There's not going to be a loss or there's not going to be a pinfall on Rusev. Not at this point. With Paige and Nikki, who I haven't really mentioned yet. I'm not sure what that was.
I don't know either.
It
was your phone, Jesse. Oh. Good job, Jesse.
Damn Facebook.
With Nikki and Paige, who I haven't really talked about yet. I don't see Paige winning it yet either. Paige should have it. Mm-hmm. Paige should definitely have it. It would give more respect to the belt, but again, storyline wise, just not happening. They've made it too clear that Nikki is unstoppable with Brie at her side, and that Brie isn't going anywhere. So I mean, that's the only reason I don't pay more attention to that, because the story's already been told. Mm-hmm. We already know what's going to happen. No disrespect to the ladies, if they're given a chance, I'm sure they can put on a good story in the ring, but the outcome is foretold. If Nikki's going to drop the belt, it's going to be to something major at WrestleMania. Yep. And so at this point, and that's kind of why this is going to be a forgettable pay-per-view, unless WWE pulls something out of their ass. And the only way they might do that is Bray and Undertaker. Maybe.
At Fast Lane?
At Fast Lane. That's what I heard.
At an emergence, I'm assuming.
That because Bray has been, in his promos, talking about something from beyond the grave.
Yep. Cryptic tweets
Mm-hmm.
and his messages on Raw that he's been cutting. Childhood. Demons, dead or alive. Mm-hmm. You've been hearing these little knickknacks coming out. So it's a possibility.
That's the only thing that maybe they would pull out of their ass. That would be a surprise. That would be, that's the big if. Because Triple H Sting, again, story's been told. We know nothing huge is going to happen. Either he's going to jump Sting and, the Authority is going to beat the crap out of him and just make him more mad. Or we're finally going to get to hear him talk. Whatever it is, it's not going to be the final chapter. It's going to be a lead up. It's going to be, by the way, this is what we need you to know. Here's what we're going into. But the only major swing that they can pull is Bray and Undertaker. And I think they will. The only thing about it is I don't know if they have the ability right now to balance that level. Because if you have something happen major with Sting and Triple H, that's going to be the story.
Oh, of course.
But if Undertaker pulls up, that is the story. No ifs, ands, or buts. Especially if he's
showing up the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have it in them to pull off both. So we'll see what happens. Right now, Fastlane is either going to be a dud or a surprise. And that's my prediction, such as it is.
Now going to the only person who predicted Roman Reigns' victory at the Royal Rumble, Ernest.
Oh, shit. Did he get a cookie for that or something?
Yes. Hey, in my home, I predicted. I'm like, all right, I'll tell you when the guy who's going to win comes out.
So now, out of predictions, me and Ernest have been having a competition. We're pretty much almost squared on. We're like two. Ernest is 2 behind me, but he's catching up really fast. Ernest, Fast Lane. I know there's one thing you're interested in. I already know there's one particular at Fast Lane that you're...
Amuse me. What do you think it is?
I'm pretty sure it's the Sting aspect of the whole thing. But what do you expect out of Fast Lane?
Okay, out of Fast Lane, I agree with you that it's gonna be somewhat of a forgotten pay-per-view because you have WrestleMania right after that. I mean, any pay-per-view before WrestleMania is always going to be somewhat forgotten or a stepping stone to WrestleMania. So they got to play their cards right. But as far as the cards playing on Rusev and John Cena, I do agree Rusev is going to win because there's no way you're going to put Rusev and John Cena at WrestleMania and have Rusev already lost. There's no way to put. There's no reason to put him back in WrestleMania. So eventually, it is going to be Cena and Rusev at WrestleMania to settle a score from Fast Lane. Mm-hmm. So I know for a fact Rusev's going to win by some count, either DQ or actual pinfall, which would be cool. If it was a pinfall because that would be like really legitimate, saying that he's a top player. But I do see the angle where it could be a DQ because it's unsettled.
Yep.
As far as the ladies, which one was it again?
Paige and Nikki.
I have a big problem with the women's division in WWE as far as Raw and that whole roster there. I really don't care.
Yeah,
forgettable. Forgettable, in other words. Right?
Yeah, I really don't care about that match. To be honest with you, it's more of a TNA type thing to get you to look at something.
Yes.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if you really want me to say something, I would actually like to have, I guess Brie, wasn't it? Who was
Nikki.
it? Nikki. I'm sorry. I'm again forgettable.
Shut up.
So, and then the third card was
a Roman versus Daniel Bryan.
Oh man, that one's a toughie, man. If they keep it clean, which I doubt they won't, I would like to see Roman win and then go into WrestleMania with them again.
Okay. Oh, a triple threat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That's actually what I was going to shoot for, and my prediction as well.
Wasn't that done last year though?
Yes, that's what a lot of people were like. Well, are we going to have a triple threat two years in a row?
Well, it was individual matches to get to the triple threat, but triple threats work.
Oh yeah,
if done correctly. I mean,
we saw that with Rollins, Cena, and Lesnar.
Oh, I mean,
you can do a triple threat.
You could go back further into the archives. Triple threats at WrestleMania, epic triple threats if done correctly.
Yeah. So that's my predictions for Fastlane, and anything else that shows up, I really don't know. But yeah, Sting. I'm really interested in what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think they're going to wrestle. I think they're just gonna have a confrontation, and then have a confirmation for a match for WrestleMania.
Yep.
I do like the angle where it could be Sting comes out, confront Triple H, and then you have the minions from the Authority come by and do a number on Sting. But I think that's gonna give. I don't think they're gonna knock Sting down. I think Sting's gonna rise up and take them all out.
Yeah, the bat.
Yeah. So
just like that NWO moment.
Yeah. So he just like pulls it out of his trench coat and like boom, his hands WCW all over again. I love it. The only thing I have a gripe with is the intro song. I wish they went with a Crow style intro. That's the only thing I wish they did. But yeah, Chris, I think you're next.
Yeah. Granted, of course, there's not too much I know about what's going on. I know Rusev. I know enough to the point where Rusev is basically the heel version of Goldberg right now.
Pretty much. You say that.
Yeah.
With thighs like tree trunks.
Yeah. So. Considering that, yeah, I definitely don't see Rusev losing at this next pay-per-view event. Nonetheless, it's so forgettable. I almost forgot its name. So here you go. But who was he facing off against? I'm sorry,
John Cena.
John Cena. Yeah. I still see Cena losing to him. I mean, the WWE has made it obvious that they want to make him with that undefeated streak, and they're not going to make him lose that streak at at a lowbrow event like this. So. Yeah, he's still going to keep it. If anything, if they wanted to at least throw some sort of curveball, since if I was a writer, I'd be like, well, everyone's expecting this to happen. Maybe throw in like a curve like towards the end of the match where it looks like Cena might win, like try to get a pin, but then there's another switch bait where like Rusev gets, a steal, like someone coming in and, hitting Cena with a chair or something and then taking the win. I'd see something like that, but the results are going to be the same either way. But... yeah. In terms of the women's championship, it's women's championship, right?
Yeah. Well, Divas title.
Divas women's. This shows how old school I am.
No, there's a women's championship and it's down in NXT.
Yeah, that's where it's legit.
Oh, well then.
Just won by Sasha Banks.
Yeah, there you go. just like Ernest, I got nothing on it really. I got nothing on it at all at this point. I'm not trying to say like women's division or Divas division once again. Like, I'm getting this mixed up, Ernie. But Divas division, I'm not trying to say like it's not interesting. There's just
they don't make it interesting.
That's there you go. Took the words right out of my mouth right there. If they had bigger draws, I'd probably be a little more interested. But there's nothing really unique at this time that even I've heard, like even from just occasionally browsing and whatnot. I don't hear anybody ever mentioning about the Divas division, so it's kind of pointless to even
just
focus
in
on
relation to the TV show.
Just like you said, bathroom break basically. But the main event, which remind me again.
It's Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. It's a little difficult to predict at first, but I see where Jonathan's getting at the same time. Where as a writer, you would want You would want Roman Reigns, the one that you feel that you need to develop, win. If the WWE feels that they want Roman to be developed, they're going to stick with it, which actually comes up to a point that I was going to bring up too. Of course, there was that recent interview that Vince had regarding the quarterly sale or yearly sales with WWE Network hitting 1 million views. Someone was mentioning to them, how do they feel about the cancel WWE Network hashtag? And Vince flat out said that he compared it to like kids not getting their Christmas present during Christmas Day, which I'll be honest, I laughed at. I mean, I'm probably, people who hear this who support that are probably going to hate me for what I'm about to say here, but I personally laughed at that because let's face it, the WWE universe that supposedly supports who they feel they should win, and that they keep claiming that they're going to break off the WWE if they don't win, or they're going to cancel their WWE Network subscriptions. Vince pretty much held it like completely true with what he stated at the very end, that no matter their complaints, they're still going to be sticking to the end.
Yep.
And that's never going to change. So because of that, going back to the main point, I'm sure that they're going to still stick with their plan, and they're going to make Roman Reigns win. But I could also see a possibility where Daniel Bryan somehow wins, but he definitely would not take the title at WrestleMania whatsoever.
No, there's no way.
Yeah, because I personally feel that if they did go that route, like realistically speaking, look at it, the WWE went to the whims of what the fans wanted, and they gave Daniel Bryan the title. His body, realistically, was not ready for it, and look what happened. He got hurt almost immediately after getting the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bring him back, and if is he still in the same shape he was last time?
Yeah, he looks good, but
he looks good.
You don't know physicality that Brock brings.
Oh yeah.
And
He's
they're
never faced Brock Lesnar.
But then again, that could be a nice thing. It's like David versus Goliath type thing.
That's the point there. Yeah, I mean that draw is always going to be there. Goliath, the underdog. But
didn't we
Brock
have that
Lesnar
last
is
year?
different.
Didn't we have that last year?
Well, yeah, with Batista, but Batista does not bring the pure power and athleticism and destructive force that Brock Lesnar brings. He broke Mark Henry's ribs by doing an F5 outside the ring on concrete. He lifted Big Show like a toy doll. Whee!
Yeah. Well, I mean, how is it you have 2 pay-per-views later, that this is the man who murdered Rollins and Cena, 2 of the main guys aside from him, and then Bryan beats him? I mean, no disrespect to Bryan, but storytelling-wise, that makes no sense at all. There is no sense to seeing Daniel Bryan in the ring with Brock Lesnar and saying, oh, he could do it.
Especially with his physique, with the way that he is.
He's like, what, a foot and a half shorter than Brock? And
you hardly
maybe
see any
100
muscles.
pounds less?
He doesn't look like a champion. That's the thing. Like, the people want him to be the champion because he looks like the underdog, and like, oh, well, he should win because he looks like no one that we would ever suspect to win. But no, really, realistically, if you're trying to go the realistic route with the WWE, unless you're trying to go back to the whole
Rey Mysterio beating Big Show,
or anything like that, then I guess if you're trying to go that route, but otherwise, no.
There's one thing I was thinking about. Like, okay, you got WrestleMania, of course, you gotta have a Sting and Triple H, right? What if it is Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, and it gets to a point where he needs help, and you have Sting come out and help him out, and make him win. But it's not clean. It's not gonna be a clean match, but
Right.
it's something.
I think that's asking too much for Sting, because that match with Triple H, Yeah, it's gonna take a toll on Sting's body.
Oh, definitely.
He's not gonna be the same after.
He only has maybe 3-4 matches left in him of
Yeah.
that caliber.
There is something I was going to ask. Has there been any reports whatsoever on the Undertaker, like at all, with WrestleMania?
Reports have been stated. He was backstage at Raw, and he's moving like he's at his age. Let's just say that.
I mean, he hasn't been in the ring, or at least, I mean, not professionally in the ring for almost a year.
But he still hasn't announced his retirement yet.
No, he's still under contract with them. So
Yeah, he's locked. I think Taker has a lifetime contract with WWE.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But it is hush hush. But I think he does have a lifetime contract with WWE.
But I think Vince is so easy on him. He's like, okay,
Yeah,
you can
I
do
think-
this whenever
yeah,
you want to.
yeah.
You know, if you feel good, no one do that. You know.
Well, because the biggest thing right now has been, like, everyone's been focused on, like, if Sting's going to be having his last match, Sting versus Undertaker. I'm just going to throw this prediction out here just for the hell of it, and if I'm right, I'll be surprised as all hell. But during WrestleMania, we could say like how you're initially saying, Ernest. Like, we'll say during the main event, Sting pops up and tries, interferes with the match.
Which
And-
match are we talking about?
We're talking about the one with Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Yeah. So, interferes with that match, gets Daniel Bryan's the win. Triple H comes out, tries to argue with Sting or whatever. Sting looks like he's about to throw the bat, and then darkness pops up. Undertaker suddenly appears.
That'd be a nice setup.
And
for
gives
the-
him one choke slam, just to make it easy on him. I know I'm going exact with it, but that's the basis of my prediction.
I can somewhat see that in a certain alternate universe. I think I know what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
have Sting come out, help Daniel Bryan win the title, and then have, set up for, I guess, not necessarily, I don't know. I guess, 'cause you
I
have
would
a whole
set that
need-
up. I would set that up as the last match for both of them. The one that everyone's been hoping for. Like, if you want to cater anything to the WWE fans that the WWE would be willing to try to do, that's outside of what they have plans for with their developing talent, I could see them being more likely to do something like that for the fans. If anything,
that's an interesting point.
yeah.
Now
But it depends on his health, of course, the Undertaker's health.
Now we come to the point where I stand alone, and that is the view of the WWE. It's time to bring reality, but I'm gonna throw in my marks that I'm gonna do. So basically, where we're gonna go, the first match is gonna be the Divas. Nothing really is gonna happen there. I don't feel. I do predict that a Nikki Bella victory will come at Fast Lane.
Yeah.
And the match at WrestleMania to follow will be Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella versus the returning AJ Lee. And we're going to have a triple threat with that, with probably AJ taking the victory again, because AJ Lee has been absent, and the way that she lost at the pay-per-view at Survivor Series with the spray, we're going to see an AJ victory coming very soon when she comes back. Whenever I'm saying WrestleMania would be a perfect one for her to return. With the Sting face-off, I'm going to go out of order on this because I just feel it would be pretty cool. But Team Authority, of course, will be probably in the background, ready to strike. But right now we have Big Show and Kane feuding right now, so there is a nail in there's a crack in the Authority right now with Kane and Big Show. But I do see a Team Authority coming down now. Mark, this is for me. This will be a Mark moment, and it'll be a good thing. Bringing back to Jonathan, I believe, or Ernest, with saying, Jonathan, because you're saying Undertaker and Sting at Fast Lane, I think it was.
No, it was
to
in
do
this
it.
Case. Undertaker versus Sting.
Well, just that both of them.
both
Yeah,
of
both
us,
of them appearing at Fast Lane.
Oh,
A
right,
double.
right. My bad.
A double punch. What I could see, not gonna happen, but it would be a Mark moment. Basically, Team Authority interferes with Sting. Bray Wyatt comes out because there's Luke Harper, Team Authority. Bray Wyatt comes out, starts messing with Sting, and then Undertaker appears to help Sting. And you have the two legends at that one point that could plant the seed. You have the current, and then you could have the future match. So the seed will be planted. I doubt that's going to happen because he's probably going to show up the Raw after Fastlane. So in March, the week 1 of March, Raw, Undertaker will appear. Usually, if he doesn't appear at the pay-per-view, he's going to appear at Raw to set up everything to go with his.
For that, yeah.
What
For
if
his.
he doesn't appear?
Well, that means he's just going to wait till 32.
Mm.
And, well, I have a bigger picture for Taker at 32.
Yeah, me too.
So there's only one person, I think, to pass the torch to at that point for Taker. And we'll get to that when we come across, because it will fill up the 100,000 plus if it happens at the AT&T Stadium. Now we go into Rusev and Cena. I've not Cena's promo, man. If you didn't see it about 2-3 SmackDowns ago, he laid it down. That whole crowd really went with Cena, and it was surprised. And Cena right now is red hot. You have the perfect. That's the only way Cena works. You have to have a monster that faces Cena. Worked with Brock Lesnar. It worked with Bray Wyatt. It works with Rusev. Now, again, mark moment. Yes, he will win by DQ. That is the Bulgarian Brute. Rusev will win by DQ. What I would like to see, though, it's going to happen at Mania. A mark moment. Get into it. It's going down. Looks like we're going to have a DQ. Ref gets knocked out. We're going to have Rusev come down. He's going to fight. And guess who comes to save the day? Hulk Hogan, the real American hero. Hulk Hogan will come save John Cena to attempt to beat Rusev. But then who comes out?
Oh God, I see where this is going.
Who comes out to help Rusev? The number one, the Iron Sheik. And he knocks down that
I'm not
Hollywood
sure
blonde jabroni.
I'm not sure he can make the walk down the,
That's just what to ask.
to the ring. He rolls down.
Iron Sheik helps Rusev win at WrestleMania. That's
Do you think he's physically fit enough to?
I know.
Not even close. Not even close.
No disrespect to the Sheik
Right,
now.
no, I know.
Sheik
He's
is
a
number one.
legend, good man, good. We wish him nothing but the best.
Well,
but
maybe it could be someone who looks like the Iron Sheik and just call him the Iron Sheik, and it gets the Iron Sheik's blessings for a brief while. But he's like, "Fucking God, he rejects my identity." The fuckers at the WWE. Fuck 'em.
Oh, we love you, Sheik. I know you don't listen to my podcast, but it'd be awesome. Nothing but love to the Iron Sheik.
oh yeah,
We love you.
Don't ever change.
Yeah, don't ever change. I follow you on Twitter. You make my day when I'm sad. So with that itself, we're going to lead into WrestleMania. And the last match, I think, it is Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. I do see a classic WWE. We haven't seen it in a while. A double pin. We will see a double pin, possibly my prediction for it. A double pin. They both win. We do see a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns.
yeah, or a double DQ.
Or
Either way.
yeah. It's going to be something in that nature.
Hopefully not a double count out.
Oh, good.
God.
Double
they
count
smash
out.
each
That'll
other
be
through a
lame.
table.
Yeah, that'd be
But
lame.
this brings into my point where you guys saying it may be forgettable. NXT just happened. And it was another success. WWE superstars do not like competing on a month when there's an NXT because they have to bring their A game. Because they do not want to be outshined by the rookies.
Quote unquote rookies.
who are much. I think some of the talent is much better than that's on the main roster, but I think that's just creative wise. Talent. I mean, you look at that main roster talent; it's chock full, and they could be doing a whole lot better than the 3-hour show than what they're doing.
Oh yeah, it's all the booking. It's nothing against the wrestlers themselves. They have the skill. It's the booking.
So, I think Fast Lane is not going to be forgettable. I think this thing, they're going to have to compete against NXT, because if they don't, Vince McMahon doesn't like to lose, and that he's competing with Triple H and his NXT, because Triple H runs NXT. He books NXT. That's his baby. Vince runs Raw and SmackDown, and Vince does not like to lose, especially to Triple H. So I think we're going to be seeing something.
No exploding TV screen in front of Dean Ambrose's face,
Well,
right?
you never know. We don't even know what's going to happen with Dean.
Yeah.
Dean is fighting. I don't even know who he's fighting. He has a rival.
Oh, he just who did he just pick a fight with? He wants somebody else's belt. Who else has the Intercontinental title?
Who's the Intercontinental Champion at the time right now?
Is it
Wade Barrett?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, Bad News Barrett.
Man,
yes.
that's actually a good
that
match.
would be a good fight. That would be those two could make a solid opening.
Actually, I'm expecting that match to take place. So I guess we could do a prediction real quick. Wade Barrett versus Dean Ambrose. I'm saying Dean Ambrose gets the IC title.
Did you just say Wade Barrett?
Yeah.
Oh, Bad News Barrett.
Yeah, Bad News Barrett.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
what?
yeah.
Real quick round. Do a quick round. Barrett versus Ambrose. Who would win?
Ambrose.
I want Ambrose to win, but I think Barrett would win because right now they keep booking Ambrose to lose, but not to be beaten.
Ambrose.
I also agree with Chris. Ambrose. Pretty much everyone here, I think, is solid with Ambrose. But
in some shape or way or form, he's going to win.
He's going to beat the crap out of him. I mean, that's just a given. But
yeah.
It's going to be an awesome fight. That's something that's new. That's new blood. That's new story. I'm intrigued by it. The other one is the AKA, the MIA, Bray Wyatt. Don't know what's going to happen with Bray, but
they're keeping him in our sights.
Yeah, Bray. He's not wrestling. He's cutting them promos, and right now he's showing that the talking is not dead. He is the top talker, I believe, right now in the company, and he has the talent in ring, but not. He's not as technical, but he could be. Then he should be. But he does draw in with the talking, and that's what I like about Bray. So with that itself, we're done with our predictions from Fast Lane and a little.
Actually, I wanted one more real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Because do you think that they're gonna put Ryback and Ziggler together, keep them as a tag team, and if they do, I could see them doing something at the pay-per-view.
Yes. They have to do something because the Ascension is not drawing what they thought they were going to do.
That's another problem.
When you friggin' put them up against the New Age Outlaws, which I grew up with, so I love those boys. I know, oh, you didn't know. That always makes me mark out. But really, you bring in these two, who were on fire in NXT, who are brand new blood to an ailing division, and then you just, oh, here they are, make fun of them.
That's one of the things that I'm kind of going somewhat off topic, but it's just like when you bring NXT players into Raw or SmackDown, they get, at least personally, they get really dumbed down than what they were supposed to be in NXT.
Well, I think it's just again creative, man. I mean, and you got to look now. You're on the main show. You got to appease the fan. You got to appease the kids. You got to appease your backers. That's something there. But the thing is that they wanted to try to do a Demolition, Legion of Doom 3.0 type thing with these guys, and it just doesn't work because that's not how they were. That's not how I saw them
exactly
in NXT.
Exactly.
But again, they evolved from NXT. Like you saw it, they first started as like a Nordic tag team, then they went into like the Egyptian style. Now they're coming into like a modern age type thing, and the modern age one's not working. I think they should go back to like either their Nordic entrance or their Egyptian entrance, which is a lot better. Though if you haven't seen them, make sure you look at them from NXT. It happened about last year when the original Ascension broke off. Connor's original partner left due to willingness, substance abuse and stuff, and he got let go. But if you got to check it out in the archives. It's fantastic. They had blue voodoo magic going on. It was pretty badass. That's all I got to say. But as in Ryback and Ziggler staying together, yes, because they need to do something to try to rejuvenate the tag division, because right now, well, the NXT, they got some tag divisions. We're going to see Sin Cara's partner Kalisto eventually pop up, and we'll probably see the Lucha Dragons. We're probably going to see if to me they look ring ready, and that's Blake and
the champions,
Blake and Murray, the NXT champions, and the Vaudevillains. I think they're ready to come in. So you got some great players, except again, like Ernest said, it's how they're going to be brought into WWE Raw or SmackDown.
To be fair with you, it's like I really don't want these NXT stars to go to Raw or SmackDown. I really don't. It's like once you go to like that's their main goal, to get to SmackDown and Raw, right? But the thing is, like when you go to SmackDown and Raw, they're gonna you're going up against so many other people in the roster. Your character from NXT is not gonna matter anymore. That's, I guess, my personal opinion.
Well, it's like a hard reset. I mean, you've built up all of this fan base. You've built up your name. You've built up recognition. And since WWE keeps NXT compartmentalized, then you finally make it to the big game, and nobody knows who the hell you are. You know, they pass up these opportunities like Rumble, where you could have put in Sami Zayn. You could have put in Kevin Owens.
Oh, I think that would have blew the roof off.
Yeah, and have these guys. They don't have to win it. Or if they do, holy crap. But they don't have to. Just, they go in there and eliminate somebody important. They go in there and make an amazing showing. They just do something that they're allowed to do. And then everyone's like, who the hell was that? Yeah. Oh, he's from NXT? That's where I can see him? That's where I can... And so then it's not this... You know, it's like going all the way back to Nexus. Bam.
It happened.
You knew who they were.
Yeah.
Immediately. And you wanted to know what was going to happen next. That was good storytelling. Right now... NXT has its own story, which is fine, but it doesn't cross over into WWE because they don't allow it.
The only thing I see that makes that not happen is the sheer fact, I think almost everybody knows this by now, you know, Triple H obviously with NXT wants to build up the developing talent. That's that's of course the main focus of NXT, as right. That's why everybody loves it. Vince, however, is the polar opposite. He likes to focus on what he personally likes, and more or less like 80% of the times, if it's not that, focusing on what's already the big draw. Yep. He does not like to focus on any newcomers unless he actually personally likes them. Mm-hmm. And that is something that unfortunately is...
I think it's stifling.
It is stifling because the purpose of NXT is to make, you know, a superstar popular enough to make it to the big games. Yeah. But if Vince is still that barrier, then I'm not saying NXT is not... It has no point of existing because obviously you see good wrestling on there, right. But it cannot hit its main purpose while Vince is doing that, and I guess that's where it leads to where some people have said that they can't wait when Vince finally steps down if it ever happens, because of course Triple H is the current one that's possibly focused on for taking over for WWE as well, yeah. And when that happens, you know that's
when we'll see a shift.
Yeah, we're finally going to get another golden age of wrestling, because that's when Triple H will get, NXT would be able to finally
merge everything together.
Yes, its main goal. Yeah,
we're going to be talking about NXT on the next topic, but I like Chris's point. You know, I just snapped to this. I did not realize. If you look at the retirements, the speeches and the farewells that they gave at Raw, Vince McMahon went out with Shawn, went out with Ric Flair. When Edge retired, he didn't come out. Triple H came out. Vince never gave his goodbye to Edge. Now it makes sense. Triple H was probably the person pulling the strokes for Edge winning the titles, because he was that different era. Again, Vince didn't want to make Shawn the champion. It just happened because he needed a new champion, and he was the red hot ticket. He was the red hot draw.
Yeah, he just
why are you gonna give a 5'9", $150 a title?
Especially when you're in the age of Sid and Diesel. And
yeah, You know what I mean. But you're gonna go with that one. Yeah, he knew that change needed. And of course, we all saw the documentary of how it all happened. But that brings a good thing. You know, Triple H, I think, had a lot of influential career decisions on Edge. Eventually, Edge became a high profile when he started making money for the company, and that's when Vince started taking notice. But I feel that Vince is done taking chances because of what happened with Punk. So he's going to go back to his 6'6". You have to be 6+, 200+ pounds looking guy. You know what I mean? Because they got to find a replacement. They have found one with Roman. You know, very good, clean physique and everything. He wanted Ryback, but Ryback kind of didn't pan out how he wanted.
Yeah, he's finally coming back. But.
Yeah. but I think it's a little too late. But I think we're going to be seeing Roman Reigns, of course, because The Rock and the Anawai's, again, we just had Rikishi go into the Hall of Fame. He's going to be inducted this year. So it's going to be very interesting. We're going to be taking a short break. We're going to be talking about NXT, the fallout, standouts, what may happen. In NXT, we know we dabbed it in right now, but we're going to go a little bit further in with some of the matches and the winners of the card. So we'll be right back, and we're going to take a short break.
I can't believe I'm actually going to witness them face off in an NXT ring right now.
Sammy's got to keep his cool.
Look out, here comes Sami Zayn. Look out, over the top, over the referee. My God! Connecting with a back elbow is Kevin Owens, misses. Look at Sami Zayn trying to set it up. Blue Thunder Bomb for the championship. Kevin Owens staying in this match, my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Connecting square in the chin.
We've seen this before.
Kevin Owens, look at it, my God. And to the outside, to the outside, no. Sammy able to
Smart
grab the
by
ropes.
Zayn. Very smart by Zayn.
Kicking at Kevin Owens, and here comes Zayn using the ropes. My God, what an impact! And Sammy whacked his head on the ramp. Oh no, again, Kevin Owens grabbing hold of Sami Zayn, and again a powerbomb. Sami Zayn was being checked on by the medical staff, and not again, another one. Owens covering Sami Zayn.
Wow.
Just end it, Owens. Just pin him and get it over with.
This is business, or is this personal?
Referee pulling Kevin Owens off of Sami Zayn.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a soundbite from Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn main event at NXT Rival. Wow, what can we say about NXT, guys? That's the future, man. You know.
Can we just replace Raw and SmackDown with NXT?
Well,
please.
Before we get into it, we do have the podcast question that was posted on our Facebook, and we have a couple of followers who'd like to say it. And basically, that's what it was. Should NXT get a 1 hour slot instead of the full 3 hours dedicated to Raw and SmackDown? Oh, you know, the roster, the main roster. Should NXT be the first hour and then cut Raw back to 2 hours for the main ones? And one of our founding fathers, who's up in Virginia right now.
Heaven.
Up in heaven. No, he's not dead. Well, kind of. You could say he's in Virginia right now. He's enjoying his life out there right now. Basically, he says no. They should keep it as a strict entity on itself. As well as our other follower, who's going to be on the show eventually as a guest, my close friend Bear. He basically said the same thing. No, they should keep it two different entities as in a territory like how it was back in the day. So guys, should NXT get a 1 hour? Just a quick yes or no response. Should NXT get an hour slot on USA?
I would say, you know what? I remember Triple H saying he's trying to get the guys ready, essentially, and he knows the tour, the scheduling is going to be one of those things that they have to get used to. And he said he wants to start training the guys, going for flights and moving, from place to place. So that could be a stepping stone where they could have some of the NXT stars, in the 1 hour slot. I see that potentially happening. Now, as far as a yes or no, should it happen now, I would say no. But it has the potential to have a 1 hour show on USA. If they do that, that'll really start bridging the gap between the separation between NXT and Raw and SmackDown. So in the future, I would love to see it, but right now as it stands, no.
Okay, Jonathan.
I think it'd be a build-up. I think you could do it as maybe once a month to start out. Maybe not this year, obviously, but maybe next year after WrestleMania, start a whole new product with it and not take it away from the network, not at all, but basically do like what you have with Raw and SmackDown. But then you have people invested in this. You get the guys starting to it builds everything. You get the guys starting to get used to the travel schedule because it's very different on the main roster, obviously. But you don't pull the rug out from under them and, okay, every week we're somewhere new. Just once a month, we have this, we dedicate 1 hour of Raw to just NXT. So now you're exposing all the viewers that you have on Raw to NXT. And so it's not a splash of cold water. Who is this guy and why is he awesome and why have I never heard of him before? And then that way... And you still have that idea of, okay, I just saw all this for an hour from NXT. I expect Raw and SmackDown to be equal, to be equivalent or actually better, because this is where you've spent all your money. These are the guys that are still earning it. These are the ones who are supposed to have already earned it. Show me. Mm-hmm. So that would be my kind of, I guess technically I'm saying yes, but build that as a scheduled thing, not a all right, bam, every week. Yeah, this is your pre-show. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. You can just tune in at 8, and you'll have your Raw.
Yeah, Chris.
No, at least right now, no. It goes back to our point we were just discussing about Vince, running Raw and SmackDown, and Triple H running NXT. The two simply would not mix with the way both programs are right now at this time. However, later down the line, if and whenever Triple H gets full control of all the programs or anything of that sorts, I would definitely vote a yes on that, simply because it would be easier to promote both shows. Little Jimmy, who watches it, he's focusing on John Cena and, like a few other...
Little Jimmy's back!
Yeah, Little Jimmy. Little Jimmy, who focuses on John Cena and maybe a few other wrestlers here and there, but mostly cares about John Cena. In this particular possibility, John Cena could step out and be like, oh, hey, by the way, I found my partner for this upcoming matchup, at the Royal Rumble, and then he brings out that NXT guy that was on, that whole time on the first show, thus throwing more interest in the guy. He doesn't have to be in Raw or SmackDown just yet, but hey, now they know about him. Now they're going to want to see him more, especially if Cena's promoting him.
Yeah. Now we know how they're going to introduce Adrian Neville.
Yeah. Exactly. But I besides that though, I can't see it. No.
I also agree. I think it's too early right now. The touring, they're just starting touring. So if you guys are in the Ohio region, the state of Ohio, you're going to get the first NXT tour. They're traveling up there for an NXT event. Also, they do have they're putting Dolph Ziggler on the card to draw in the WWE fans. They're bringing Ryback onto the card, plus your NXT superstars. So I think those two are actually really good because they were from NXT, except for exception of Dolph Ziggler, who is, I believe, from the OVW branch. But it's going to be very cool to see Dolph Ziggler go back to Ohio from Ohio Valley Wrestling, and Ryback step back into an NXT ring. Even though it was a WWE ring, he is from the NXT first season. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see it. But again, stating that it's, I think 3 hours of seeing the same old thing is boring. It gets doled out because there's no writing into it. Mm-hmm. But I would, like I said, like everyone else on the round table, eventually leading up to, because it's going to put, it'll give a strain to Cena and all those guys who've earned the spot. It'll pull down their time. You know what I mean? Because they've earned their spot. They're getting older. They're wearing out. You know what I mean? And that's something that, you don't have to rely on your superstars anymore. You have the young talent coming in. So again, thank you very much for your comments on our Facebook page. Make sure you go onto our Facebook page, and that is the Fatal 4-Way group page. We have podcast questions of the month. Your comments might make it on the air. So thank you to Nicholas Castro and Andreas Orispe, aka Bear. We hope to see you on the show very shortly, guys, both of y'all. So now it goes down into the main card, the event that took place, NXT Rival. We had our first match, Hito Itami versus Tyler Breeze. Hito, guy who Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, a lot of the main roster guys basically stole his moves. The Innovator from Japan, the best Japanese wrestler they have him on NXT. And basically he took out Tyler Breeze, which he was Dolph Ziggler's brother. And they both look great. Guys, your outcome of that match, Tyler Breeze versus Hideo Itami. Hideo Itami won. Do you feel that Tyler Breeze should have won?
No. I'm starting to like Hideo Itami a lot. I really do. He's got great talent. He moves quick. He's got great potential. But that match was kind of just thrown in at the last minute, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it was gonna be all Hideo Itami. I didn't see the other guy winning, which again, forgettable name, but I know he's got relation to another wrestler in Raw and SmackDown. So, but yeah, that's my opinion.
Jonathan, Hideo.
Definitely Hideo should have won. Tyler did not lose any momentum by losing that, because he's built up as a heel. He's kind of built up as a kind of like a Miz heel, where Miz can lose and it doesn't slow his momentum. It doesn't take away from him. It doesn't make him look weak, especially when he loses to someone of that caliber in such a close match. So I think the person who won, or the person who needed to won, and Tyler will be all right.
Cool. Chris?
So Hideo was the one who lost in this case?
No, he won.
Oh, he won?
Yeah.
I agree with that then. Hideo was pushed as one of the top rising stars from Japan. So, I mean, I didn't get a chance to really see too much of the match, but considering that he's one of the top cards, if that's the case, and that's how they're pushing him, I can see why he won in that case.
And he's from Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, actually, that's a good market to appeal to, and that's what they had since they just launched the network in Japan. That's who they were pushing. They got someone, and actually, I'm sorry, it's not the network that launched in Japan. It was NXT that went onto a cable network, I believe, onto there.
Oh, wow.
So that's why they brought Hideo Itami, aka Kenta, to NXT, is so they could get that going. You know what I mean? Hey, your stars in NXT. This is the only WWE programming that we have in Japan right now, and they're eventually going to bring Raw and SmackDown later on into their thing.
I thought they had him at one point or another.
They did. Their contract ran out, so they got to find another cable station, which I think they've already done, so this should be coming soon. But they got NXT over there, so it's pretty interesting. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The next match was the tag team match. It was the Lucha Dragons versus Blake and Murray. Murphy. I'm sorry, Murray. Thinking about Murray Povich. Blake and Murphy. Who guys? They came out of nowhere. They lost. They appeared at the NXT #1 Contender Battle Royal separately. They were just put together, and they've meshed fairly well so far. Beat the Vaudevillains. They beat the Lucha Dragons twice, once for the titles, and defended against them on the titles. Now, the tag division is in disarray in WWE, and they're trying to reestablish. Do you see any of these tag teams possibly making a splash in the tag division?
Again, there's such a big difference between Raw and SmackDown and NXT. Like, the NXT tag teams are actually really good, versus the Raw and SmackDown are kind of gimmicky and not that interesting. So it's like, I have this motion, at least for myself, that I really don't like to see the NXT guys rise up into Raw and SmackDown, because that would just water them down. Yeah. So as far as what the tag teams they have right now in NXT, I love them. The Lucha Dragons versus the two group that just showed up, I didn't even know about them until I saw them in the pay-per-view. I was like, wow, these guys are actually meshing pretty good, And then you have Botch Sin Cara, sorry. And then you have, it was a really good match. I didn't see the match when they lost the titles, or won the titles, I should say. But I enjoyed it.
Jonathan?
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to agree with Ernest. I don't see any reason to pull them up. NXT is able to tell a story and make us interested in a team or in a wrestler within a match. Mm-hmm. Whereas WWE does not. You have solid teams of good wrestlers. The Usos are good when they're given a chance to be. The Dust Brothers are very good when they're given a chance to be. But we get caught up, like you said, in gimmicks. We get caught up in the whole little romance thing with Naomi, with the Usos, and then they fought, Miz and Mizdow off and on, and then they fought just repeated matches. It's like you have a team. It used to be that you almost couldn't make it without a team.
Yep.
You know, that you had somebody that was a partner. You had somebody that you could call on. You had somebody that you could, you even had all the, back to Austin and Triple H, who never needed anyone. You had DX. You had the two-man power trip. You had this a willingness and ability to work together. And now you almost stick tag teams together like Ryback and Ziggler because you don't know what to do with them.
Yep.
Because you want them to be on the card so nobody forgets them. But there's no forward momentum. Even winning the belts, there's no forward momentum. It's just, that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'd much rather, and again, you have the Ascension, who had the opportunity, who were given a chance to come up to the card, and then were almost immediately buried. How do you take a team like the Ascension, who obviously were at the top of the game, to the point that even Vince agreed bring them to the main card, and then you put them against the New Age Outlaws, which... What? How do you build these two young guys who are working their asses off in NXT and then working their asses off in WWE and not allowed to accomplish anything? Not allowed to be what they could be, to tell the stories they could tell with these teams who have so much more seasoning. Put them with the Dust Brothers for a good booking, for a good storyline, for half a dozen matches or half a dozen encounters. All together, not necessarily all tag team matches, but one-on-ones, and you get them noticed, you get them recognized, you get them solidified as characters instead of just, oh yeah, these guys are going to come out and literally beat up two random people that you care nothing about. So, leave the tag teams where they are.
Chris, tag team division?
Honestly, in terms of moving up to past NXT
or in general, should these teams... What do you feel about the tag division in WWE in general?
The WWE tag team, I think it's actually getting a little bit better recently, once again because of the Dust Brothers and the Usos. I think they're developing pretty well so far. So far. I don't think they I do agree, of course. I mean, it's like we've been saying it a couple of times already. As is, it's kind of a bad idea at this point to bring NXT, superstars to Raw or SmackDown, because at this point with Vince's current, mindset, he's going to bring them down despite them working their asses off. But I really do think the WWE can just still hold its own with its own separate brand. NXT sticks with its own separate brand and just stick with that. That's pretty much all I got with that.
Yeah, the tag team division is, I feel, something they could improve on, as well as the Divas division, or the women's. I'd like to go back to the old school, the women's division. I think
they've been improving more on the tag than on the Divas division.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but the tag division is that you guys got to find that right chemistry between the two guys. Bring in two guys who are not being used, put them together. Zack Ryder, for instance. You're not using anything with Zack Ryder. Put him with someone. Put him with Titus O'Neil. He'll be a lot better than Heath Slater, or Heath Slater with Zack Ryder. I would like to see that tag team, maybe. The East Coast, West Coast, or East Coast, Southern, two guys who don't go well. You could make hilarious, like the APA was. You had JBL and Ron Simmons, two different aspects, both Southern, but two different areas, and they would just like to drink and have fight, and they will fight against each other every so often. You could do the same with Heath Slater and Zack Ryder, two different aspects, two different parts of the United States, two different looks out in life. I think that would be perfect. Because he's not doing too well with Titus O'Neil. Slater Gators didn't take off like it was supposed to. And Titus O'Neil's a shame because he's a monster.
Yeah. And
they're just letting him rot away, unfortunately.
Isn't there... I think there's a couple of tag teams that can probably eventually dissolve. Isn't there? I know...
the Dust Brothers are about to dissolve.
Yeah.
Of course, we lost the Shield.
Yeah.
We lost the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
But I think also there was one more tag team that I think that's going to... Mizdow.
Oh,
that may dissolve as well.
And then they even have these other tag teams waiting in the wings. New Day, there was all this momentum for New Day for whatever they were going to end up being. And then they just got buried almost immediately. And all three of those men have potential for main event. Two of them already have been main event. Yeah. Xavier Woods can be. He is very young, very good, and could easily be the future.
Yep. I mean, they're everything that he wanted. He's a PhD. What else can you want, man? He's very well spoken. He addresses the public. And again, I think it's just race, but we're not going to get into that.
Right,
again,
right.
We talked about that during the Alberto Real segment. The next one we're going to go is with the monster. Oh,
But I'm sorry. Before you go, I just gotta say this. This is the first time I heard that they're dissolving the Wyatt family, the Dust
Brothers,
team, the Dust Brothers, and what was the other ones too?
well, the Shield and the Wyatt family.
Yeah,
have
Shield
been-
was already-
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
same thing with the Wyatt family. They've been dissolved. They went on their separate ways, and they've all had success.
I mean, I know this is probably old news to a lot of people, but to me, this is new. So I'm like, oh my, are you serious?
As in the Dust Brothers, they of
The
course
Dust Brothers is gonna be interesting.
they've been wanting to work with each other for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It looks like this is
I think-
Goldust's last run.
Dustin's pretty much done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
So-
it's just still very disappointing because they only debuted just a few months ago, or has it been a while?
Yeah, about 6 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dust
6
Brothers has been since I'd say mid last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, they had a good run, and I think they just want to work with each other now because it's almost time for Goldust to ride into the sunset and continue his thing as trainer.
Admittedly, though, I mean, Goldust still looks fairly in good shape.
Yep.
I'd say this is his best run
shape,
so far.
Yeah.
His best ring. I mean, he's
Never
pulling
know.
out the Canadian Destroyer. I was like, what? Canadian Destroyer, Hurricanranas, Frankensteiners. Good job, Goldust. Moves that we haven't seen in freaking forever. Awesome. The next one was the Monsters of NXT. That was it a no disqualification match?
Oh, or a quote unquote no disqualification match.
The Bull Dempsey versus Baron Corbin. The Baron Corbin. I'm gonna go ahead and start this off. Baron Corbin to me is the future. Different look, all together. He has this. He's bigger than CM Punk. He's more built, and what I like is he is the first wrestler to come out of the NFL initiative. With, if you're on a practice squad and the NFL could not make it onto the team itself, you have the opportunity to go down to NXT, try out, and possibly make the roster. He is the first one to do so, and he took it like cake. He's a monster. He's built as a monster who wins in a couple of seconds. So he got a Goldberg feel, a Ryback feel. He's beaten Bull Dempsey, who's built the same way, a monster. But what's cool about Bull Dempsey is that he's built around his character as he's the last of the old school. Trained by Taz in the Taz dojo. He's got that feel. I like these both guys, but Baron Corbin to me, because he's in better ring shape. He's slim. He looks good. He looks like he could main event. Give him a couple more years because he's still kind of green. His mic skills suck, but it could still be developed. But he is, I think, the future because he looks like Punk. He acts better than Punk, and he absorbs everything from his trainers. With that one, Ernest, what did you think about the match, the Baron Corbin Bull Dempsey match?
Corbin was great. I enjoyed that match, even though when you see a no disqualification match, you expect chairs, you expect tables, you expect the things that you expect from any other. But it was so funny when he looked underneath the ring and there was nothing there. It was like, okay, this is gonna suck. Because even the audience was kind of like, boo, it's like, where's the tables? Where's the chairs? We expect no disqualification. We expect more brutality. But no, it was a good match. I mean, they essentially had to kind of ad-lib the rest of the whole match, but it was good. I enjoyed it. And I do see him as an upcoming star. Again, being that monster, being like kind of like Goldberg and Ryback and the big monsters, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Jonathan?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm right there with Ernest that you don't expect a no disqualification match between two giant men to be he pinned him. The end. that he can't. The one guy Bull came at him with a chair. He grabbed him, did his I forget what the name of his finisher has been. Did his finisher and bam, it was over. And it's just like, okay, but he's supposed to have a vendetta, Bull, apparently, because the reason they had this match is because he attacked him during the match with Adrian Neville.
Yeah.
So if you have a no disqualification, he's mad at you already for costing him a chance in the round table or the round robin for the championship title. You know, you expect more. You expect them to be tearing things apart and throwing each other down the stage and all that. And so I think maybe they just didn't have a chance. Maybe they didn't have the time for it. Maybe they just wanted to keep it solid and put in the no DQ just in case they had a chance to do something interesting. But overall, the match was good. I mean, it was just a regular match, and I think we wouldn't have had so much expectation on it if they'd just given us a regular match and said these guys are going to fight. The end, you know. And then, oh, he got a chair and he finished him. Oh yeah, as opposed to, really, where was the rest of the chairs? Where's Dean? Get some more chairs. so no, it was a good match.
Chris?
Yeah, look like, well, I'm trying to think here about how the match probably. Because to be honest, I didn't really check it out.
Understood.
Yeah. But which stars were we talking about? I'm so sorry.
It's Baron Corbin and Bull Dempsey. Now, these two guys are built as monsters.
Mm-hmm.
They had a no DQ match. Basically, no DQ. There was nothing. There's no tables. They had one chair, but that was it.
Well, if you are making a no DQ match, I can understand at the same time not, actually throwing any sort of tables, ladders, chairs, something to throw at it. Though, to begin with, if it was intentional to do that, if I can kind of see why, especially if they're just developing talents, like you don't know if they can actually take that. But then again, like you said, I forgot his name already, but the one that was built as a monster.
Well, they both are.
Yeah.
The one who is
from the NFL.
Yeah, the NFL is Baron Corbin.
Yeah, Baron Corbin. I mean, he sounds like as is that. He probably would have been able to take anything like that anyway. So, but
which he did, which they actually did in the match. He got beat up the whole match. I think Baron Corbin got beat up by Bull Dempsey,
pretty much,
and then came back. Super Cena. He pulled a Super Cena at the end.
I mean, the way you guys are describing him as is, because I was listening to that part of the conversation too. I mean, I'm kind of interested in him. I haven't had a chance to see any of his matches, but he definitely sounds like an interesting draw as is. So the way it sounds, I'm pretty sure he at least pulled out a decent match. I mean, I can't say for sure since I personally didn't see it, but I mean, I would have confidence in a guy like that if he's developing like that as is. So.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say about these two guys? These guys are on the radar. Bull Dempsey needs a little work, but he's good on the mic. Bull Dempsey's good on the mic. Is that he just needs to be developed a little bit more. Now we're going to go in order of my personal choice of best to finish it off. We're going to go with the Fatal 4-Way. No pun intended, but the Fatal 4-Way women's title. We had Bayley versus Charlotte versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. Charlotte, the daughter of the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Sasha Banks, the niece of Snoop Dogg. We also had Bayley, who is a great diva on the rise, or women's diva, I guess.
Well, no, say women. Diva. When we say divas, I think Raw and SmackDown. No, when you look at NXT women, no, they are women. They can go. They can literally. They'll make me stay and watch the match.
So Bayley, who is fantastic, she's an upstart as well as Becky Lynch. They both, with Sasha Banks being crowned the new NXT Women's Champion, the rightful title, I believe that should be there. They should dissolve the Divas title. But we had Sasha Banks winning that match, showing on full display that women's wrestling is alive and it's down in NXT.
Yep.
Sasha Banks, I didn't think she was going to pull it out, to be honest. I thought Bayley was going to pull it out.
I was actually rooting for Bayley too.
Because Bayley had that. Right now she's like in the Tommy Dreamer state right now. It's like she's trying to get that title, but it's being pulled away ever so, it's out of her reach, which is being like a Daniel Bryan, the underdog, which is pretty cool because she's just her gimmick is the fangirl. And now she's trying to change it to be a little bit more aggressive, which is pretty cool. I like the evolved form of Bayley right now. You could see more skills in her. Charlotte, well, that's just genetics.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. Charlotte is...
She's a legacy.
Yeah. I mean, Ric Flair's daughter, what else can you say about that? And Sasha Banks worked her ass off in the indies to come out into NXT to win that title, so I'm very happy with her. She trained with... also, she helped train Charlotte. She was also trained by SeiferA, who's MIA right now in the Divas division. But I wish she would come back to NXT to make a point which would be pretty cool, and it'll make solidify the NXT Women's Division even better. And then you have Becky Lynch, who's the up and comer, man. She's a Celt, and she's in the mold of Sheamus, Finn Balor, Adrian Neville, and all those great European wrestlers, man. Fit Finlay and all of them. You could see it, man. She has that energy and that drive that she wants to be in the WWE. She wants to wrestle. That's her life. You could actually see it. Ernest, happy with the decision of Sasha Banks winning the title?
I guess so. To be honest, again, I was rooting more for Bayley, and when she won, I was like, well, okay. Well, I mean, I don't think it's the first time she's won the title, right?
Yeah, it's the first time.
Oh, first time.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought she won it already once before, but no. Then congrats to her. Then Fatal 4-Way may not be the best way to win the title, I guess, because you got 3 more contenders you got to deal with, and of course, whoever gets the first pinfall wins. So I know they did it in the last pay-per-view, which was our Revolution, right?
Yep.
So that was a clean match, and that proves to a point where she really can't win the title on her own. But if she gets other people in there, she can wear down the champion enough where she can pin. So I'm okay with it. I'm glad for her, and like I said, I was more rooting for Bayley because fangirl type thing. I kind of like that. So that's my opinion. So.
Jonathan, how did you feel?
Yeah, no, I'm good with it. I mean, I haven't invested as much in the women's division until I started seeing them and what they can do in NXT. But part of it is I think it's excellent storytelling when you're okay with whoever wins because all of them were believable. All of them were solid enough and athletic enough and, skilled enough that the person who won, or the storytelling was there. Like Ernest said that, okay, the other girls helped wear Charlotte down, but she still got the belt. Sasha still got the belt, so it's still that competition is there, as opposed to, she won the belt because she's popular. She won the belt because she's right now who we're pinning our hopes on. I mean, obviously they are, but it's not for the fan side, for the storytelling side. It's okay. She won today. She can lose tomorrow.
Yep.
Charlotte is still good enough. Bayley is still good enough. The other girl, who I apologize, name escapes me, Becky, is good enough. That like I was talking to you before we started the podcast, they tell the story so quickly. They make you invested so quickly, which Raw and SmackDown seem to have lost. That you have to watch 7 promos before you're like, okay, why does he hate him? I'm not really sure. But these girls, I already knew they had problems with each other. They gave a short, I want to say maybe 2-minute promo beforehand, just to recap. But even then, I already knew some from watching one of the other NXT episodes. That it was all within the one match. You had all 4 girls come out. And you knew exactly who was doing what and why. Why you had the 2 faces, why you had the 2...
the heels.
Yep. And that, you had the moments in there where Charlotte was out of the ring for a while. So they were beating up on Bayley. Charlotte came in and saved her because even though they were in competition, she was the one that was going to fight honorably. She was the one that if it was going to come down to them two, then she knew it was just going to be a skill. And then the heels made sure that they played the heel the entire time. And so when Sasha pulled it off, pinned Charlotte, it made sense. And it was, okay, now I want to see what happens next with them. Yeah. Not, okay, when's the next match?
Yep, that's true. Again, the NXT Women's Division is fantastic. Chris, I know you didn't watch NXT too much.
Well, I actually, while we were talking like a little bit earlier during the podcast, because we had the WWE Network playing in the background.
Oh, yeah.
I actually was watching that specific match a little bit, and I got to be honest, I agree with a bunch of you guys. Like, it was a solid match overall. I haven't yet, like you said, though, I haven't followed too much with it, but Bayley just looking from her entrance I can see why Ernest especially supports is with her, and I kind of support her too at that point too, because character you got to support who has the right characteristics and all.
You relate to.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it looked like a pretty solid performance overall. If it was who was the one who won the title again?
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks. If that was her first time winning, hey, that's awesome right there. I mean, Fatal 4-Way. I can kind of agree with you too, Ernest, that it's kind of a little bit interesting that it was with the Fatal 4-Way and all, but at least that got her a chance there. And hey, who knows? There's always a chance too that she might lose the title and then immediately try to regain it in a proper one-on-one match. So. Yeah. That's always a possibility.
Oh yeah, what I really liked again, no one really talked about her, but is Charlotte again. That's just genetics in there. She's paid what she needs to do. She has that flair in her. She made
No pun intended.
She had. If you're gonna do it, like, I love her shirt. If you're gonna do it with flair. She made all 3 girls look like $1 million in that match. That's what Ric Flair did back in the territories. We talked about this in the last podcast. I stated it again. I'm gonna state it now. She made those 3 girls look like $1 million. Charlotte, if she goes to when her time has come to go to the main roster, no matter who she's gonna face, she's gonna make those girls look like $1 million, and it's gonna be up to WWE to treat this legacy. Because out of all the legacies, I mean, they have Natalya. I think she's the only one. I think currently.
Right now.
That's and Paige, and Paige is a legacy from the UK. But from those two, I think Vince has more. I think in Charlotte, because she knows what. I think she's getting ready. They're getting ready to call her up. And
but that scares me though.
Yeah,
that's scary because it's again, you have women's division NXT, then you have quote unquote divas. Every time I hear the term divas, I think of just showcasing, but just being flamboyant. That's for me. It's totally. That's why I'm so scared of these NXT stars going up to the roster and it just get watered down.
What happened? They had a time to change when they signed Karma, but Karma unfortunately had some unfortunate incidences with some stuff. That was the time for change for WWE. I think when they bring Charlotte Flair in, I think that's going to be another wind of change. And then you're gonna have those 5. You're gonna have the major 5. You're gonna have, no matter what, you're gonna have Nikki Bella in the title picture. You're gonna also have Brie, but I count them as one. Then you're gonna have Paige, AJ Lee, Natalya, and Charlotte Flair, who I think could hold the Divas division on their own. And then once all the other girls get called up, I think you're going to have a resurgence in women's wrestling on the main roster.
And not sexualized, please. Just give us wrestling.
Yeah.
But even then, you can combine the two, Of all the things that TNA did wrong, the women they did right almost consistently. I mean, even when you had Velvet Sky, even when you had Angelina Love, who basically looked like porn stars, those girls could go. Yeah. And they did it consistently. And then you had Gail, you had, Kong before she went to be Karma. You had a lot of, I was talking to Jesse about this earlier. You had 2-hour episodes where all it was the girls, was the knockouts. Yep. And it was as good a show as anything the guys put on, hands down. I was more invested in that because I was more curious, because they're new, because you don't get to see them very much, because you don't get that opportunity. And yes, they had their little slip-ups where they always go towards the whole girl-on-girl crap, which is unnecessary, because you can just have them fight, just like the guys, when you had Winter and all that. But again, they would get girls consistently who, yes, they were pretty, yes, they were in amazing shape, but they knew what to do with it. Yep. And I don't know why WWE does not invest in Natalya, does not invest in the girls they had. They had Tamina, they had some real athletes, and just never did anything with it.
Yep. That's a shame on the women's division. I think that's something to do in the backside. Not necessarily Vince, but I think there's some other things in the back. And like everyone said, until Vince steps down, when Triple H takes over, or Stephanie takes over, that's when you'll see a change in programming, I think, or in direction. Once that happens, the next match should be number 1, but.
We have to save it for the last.
Yeah, we gotta change, because a title change did happen. And when a title change happens, that's near the top, especially the heavyweight title. But the number 1 contendership, Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville. Well, there's not much to say on that one. That's just that's a 5-star match. That could be WrestleMania. That could be on WrestleMania. Period. Yeah. Finn's ready. Adrian's ready. I don't want to see them leave. But I think Finn Balor has more aspects on who he could face in the WWE in the main roster than Adrian Neville due to his size. But Finn, I could see him go with Cena. I could see him go with Randy. I could see him definitely go with Sheamus, Wade Barrett, The Miz. I could see him go against all those guys and still have. He's number 1. He's like Daniel Bryan, and especially against Daniel Bryan. And these guys that we're about to talk about, they've all fought each other eventually in the indie scene. They all grew up with each other down there. So these guys know each other. If they stay together, it could be like a new clique. Supposedly that's what's going on. Triple H has Kevin Owens, Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, Adrian Neville, and Sami Zayn. They're the guys. They're the breed. Those 5 superstars are the future. He's already cemented that. So, Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor. What did you think about the match?
Oh, beautiful match. Beautiful match. Finn, his entrance, it just blows anything out of the water I've seen. You know, his entrance and his war paint. You know, I like it how it only brings it out for like sort of the main events. He doesn't bring it all the time, which is good. Maybe he can bring like they have a new T-shirt design for him. Maybe he can start wearing that T-shirt, kind of giving that look. But oh man, that was such a great match. As far as them going up to, again, I'm probably the only one here, but I don't want these guys going to Raw or SmackDown. I just don't. I'm so scared that when they do, they're just gonna drop the ball with them. With all the momentum they have with NXT, they're just gonna fall flat on Raw and SmackDown. And that's just my personal opinion. But it was just such a great match. Great match. A+ match.
Oh yeah, highs, lows. They drew you in. That's what they're paid to do, Adrian. And they fought each other before, and they just pulled out what they've done before with some new tricks. Jonathan.
No, absolutely. I mean, these guys have it. They have all of it. They make their presence felt. They make their skill. You know, they put it all on the line. They make sure that they tell the story. They make sure that they show you something that you don't usually see. What Ernest was saying, it's 50-50, you know, because I think about where the NXT guys have gone so far. Daniel Bryan, Barrett, Ryback. But then you also have Bo Dallas, who just fizzled.
I forgot about Bo.
Uh-huh.
Like, complete. Where the hell has Bo been?
But you have Husky, Bray, I mean, who we've talked about extensively already. Yeah, but
Bray, where's your little brother?
Bo just went. I mean, Heath Slater is getting a paycheck, but he's not relevant. Justin Gabriel's gone for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, they're all spread out all over the card. But then you have the Ascension, which, the hell. You had Emma, who came up and then went back down. You know, there's the possibility to make what they should be. I don't think they're going to pull Finn up just yet, because obviously they are angling for him to be the one who topples Owens, because obviously Zayn's going to be in the picture, but they made it pretty clear that they have other plans for Zayn. Yep. Because when we get into that match, we'll figure out what's going on there. But, you know, I was surprised that Neville lost. But again, it was good storytelling. It made sense. It wasn't just, oh my God, he pulled it out of nowhere. What the hell? It was, he earned it. He earned it against an A-class caliber opponent. It could have gone either way. Today it was Finn.
Yep.
You know, next time it might be Adrian, unless Adrian gets called up. And if he does, they need to do it right. You have absolute prime talent right there in every level. Because I watched the episode where he watched Finn and I think it was Baron go at it. And so he knows how to work the mic. He knows how to talk. He knows the ring psychology. He knows how to express the ring psychology without lifting a finger. You know, that's a man who understands his job, who understands his passion and lives it, you know, and puts it forth so that the fan can be drawn in. So if they capitalize on it, you have another top contender. You have another top star that you can work with all these people, some of them who have worked with him already, and so they can already put on some smooth matches. People who've never seen him before, that we can get something new as fans. But this match itself, there's no taking away from these two men.
Oh, yeah. When we get to Chris, now, Adrian Neville is close to getting called up. He is the next superstar. Then it would be Sami Zayn. Adrian Neville, creative has already been in the round table, trying to figure out what they're going to do with Adrian Neville. One thing, they're going to put him as a Mighty Mouse type gimmick.
Mighty Mouse?
You know, he's undersized. He's going to be fucking super powered, like Super Cena almost.
Yeah, because he looks like it. I mean, that boy is built.
So they were going to put like a Mighty Mouse gimmick. Another one that I just hope they don't do it just because of his pointy ears. You know, he has cauliflower ears that are pointed. They look like an elf. I just don't want them to do like
God.
an elf gimmick
Yeah.
on him.
We're going back over to old WWF gimmicks. If they try to do something like that.
Hey, we saw the Boogeyman recently, so you know who knows what'll happen.
Overall, Chris, how did you feel about the match, and how do you feel maybe about sticking him with a gimmick like that?
Well, I can't say much for the match, so I didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately. I mean, you guys make it sound like it was pretty good, though, so I would assume that it was. But in terms of the gimmicks, I definitely wouldn't want to stick with an elf-like gimmick for sure, for anything like that.
Legolas.
That would be like basically a slap in the face to him, though, because I'm pretty sure he obviously knows what they're going with, and I would be like, no.
I'm gonna tell you one gimmick that was borderlining what in terms of gimmicks, the few gimmicks that WWE did within the last couple of years that worked, but barely, and that was the Hurricanes. Like when he was around, like that borderlined it for me personally. Like, oh, this is awesome. It's like old WWF gimmick, but
You're making my heart pine for Mighty Molly.
yeah. But I would stick more for the Mighty Mouse gimmick, if anything. Like, small underdog. I would also call that the Little Mac gimmick as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's better.
Yeah. Little Mac.
At least he's a boxer,
Yeah.
not a mouse.
Yeah.
At least he's a human.
Yeah, I would definitely call it more a Little Mac idea. But no, I would definitely stick for that.
I think the only reason they wanted Mighty Mouse is since he has that finisher where he flies.
Yeah, wow, that's true. I didn't even think about that one.
That's true.
And we go to the soundbite. NXT soundbite that we heard in the intro. Seth. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Title changed by knockout.
Rare.
Unheard of almost in the modern day.
Yeah, a knockout finish. Ernest, overall, the match.
This is one thing I've been educated with Jesse, because Jesse, I was telling Jesse about the match, and he told me, like, yeah, it's very rare that it happens where you get a knockout match. And that's why at first I gave Rival a minus, because I didn't know anything about it. But until you told me about, it happens, but just very rarely, then I'm like, okay, A+. They actually did something I did not expect. So I was intrigued by it. Very well intrigued.
Yeah, the knockout finish again. This is someone pulled the rule book, flipped it to page 43, clause A, section B. A title change can win by knockout. Chris, knockout, a knockout finish. How do you feel about it?
Has that ever happened before?
Way back in the 70s, probably going into the
Jesus.
WWF days.
Oh my
wins by
God!
knockout.
Yeah, because that sounds like the equivalent of getting knocked out via like the sleeper hold.
Yep.
You never hear anyone getting knocked out of the sleeper hold. That's just used as a maneuver to power up the guy who's being put in the sleeper hold or something. Or Hulk up and then beat him up. But no, that sounds very, very interesting. I will not lie. I kind of missed that when we had it on the network, but I kind of want to see that again when we get the chance. But yeah, it's just I'm impressed. They pulled that off, especially as for the last match.
Oh yeah, Jonathan. What did you feel about it?
Man, I was shocked. I was floored. I cannot think of a match that I have seen over my 20 some odd years watching WWE that a title changed by knockout. I can't think of it. I'm sure there is, maybe, in the time I was watching, or it might actually go all the way back to the 80s and 70s that they did that. But it goes to, not only did they do it on a knockout victory, but they put the belt on a guy who got introduced at the last pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Triple H has no fear. He is invested in these people. And the story he has decided he's going to tell is one that no one expects. Even when you do expect it, you don't expect it. Everyone expected Sammy to win the belt at the last one, and he did. And then Owens murdered him, beat the crap out of him. And everyone was like, what in the world? And then he just did it again at the very next pay-per-view. That the storytelling was, this man came in with one very specific goal, and he achieved it almost immediately. And this is a guy that came from Ring of Honor that not a lot of people watch, unfortunately, because they have some very good matches, some very good wrestlers, some very good storytelling, both new and old people. They've had Matt Hardy, they've had what's his name, Jay Lethal,
AJ Styles.
AJ went there for a while. A lot of people have been there, and then went, because that's like the cream of the crop of the indies. And then they came to NXT, they come to TNA, they come to all that. But, here it is. It was a big deal that they got Kevin. And I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but whatever it was, he convinced them that he could do it. And Triple H said, okay, then we'll do it. And he did. And not even just a pin, because they made it clear this man is not trying to pin Sami Zayn. He's trying to take his belt. He's not trying to pin him. He's just beating him and continuing to beat him until they literally had to pull him off. And hats off to Sami, because he took a lot of punishment. Yeah. It was convincing that he was out. There was no fight. And this is the man who just won the belt at the last pay-per-view. So, holy cow. This was NXT distilled to its most perfect essence. We have no fear. We have no reason to pull back at all, because we have nothing to lose. We have nothing to lose. We will tell the story we want to tell.
Now, quick roundtable, real fast, just rapid answers, yes or no. Now, the prediction. We saw we kind of knew that a seed was planted that Kevin Owens might win the title. Now, what's the difference between that and what Roman Reigns? We knew Roman was going to win the Rumble. We kind of had the seed planted that Kevin Owens might win the title at NXT Rival. What would be the difference between the two, Ernest?
It's not going to be a simple answer. It's not going to be a simple yes or no. Okay, so you have Roman Reigns, who came from NXT, had at least a couple of years with Raw, Raw and SmackDown. And basically, he was tied up with other people, the Shield, versus Kevin Owens, where he just showed up, kicked ass, and pretty much that's it. He kicked ass. Now, as far as why people like Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, I guess because nobody knows who Kevin Owens is. As far as for me, I didn't know he came from Ring of Honor. I don't know his background. Whereas we know Roman Reigns, he's got family tie, he's got pull. He can pull strings, in the backside. So that's why I think some people don't like Roman Reigns, because they know he comes from a family from The Rock and all that stuff. He's they're related to them. So with Kevin Owens, he's just a nobody, kind of like Daniel Bryan, where he's just somebody. He's not really from a legacy. He's just trying to make a name for himself, and that's why I think why people relate more to Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens, because he's just trying to make a name for himself. He doesn't have anything else to come with. So I think that's why more people seem to move toward more them, whereas we were, again, with Roman Reigns, he has a family, he has legacy, and people are like, he's just pulling strings to get to the top. That's my opinion.
Jonathan?
I think the huge difference is that with Roman, that was it. There's no other storyline around the belt. There's no other level to it almost. You had Roman, and then all of a sudden, and then Daniel Bryan came back a little bit more. People were hoping he'd come back at Rumble, but they weren't sure. And then he was there, and then you see Bray and Rusev holding the belt, or holding the ring for almost an hour. Or in Bray's case, at least, I think it was more than an hour, if I remember right. So all of a sudden, you got excited. You got invested, because it's like, okay, well, maybe they will give it to someone else, because they made them look credible. They made them look as a believable threat and a believable possible winner, and then they got the rug pulled out from under them, because we know it's a specific story, that the reason Roman won is because WWE wanted him to win, that The Rock came out and helped him because that's what was supposed to happen. And so I think the universe kind of felt robbed, because they have this entitled feeling of, well, we want this person to win. So this is the person who should be winning, going back to the whole Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar thing. This is the person we want to win, even though when we think something is going to happen and it doesn't, sometimes it ends up being amazing, like Brock versus Rollins versus Cena. No one expected that to go the way it did. No one expected Rollins to put on that show. That was an amazing show. That was a match of the year contender, and no one would have expected that with those names in that match. Whereas Kevin Owens, originally Kevin Steen, he's new to, like Ernest said, he's new to us. And yet they just threw him in there, and he stuck immediately. But you also still have the number one contender coming up. You still have growth around the title, as opposed to he was chosen, he won, the end. And that's what a lot of people feel the Reigns story is. That Brock is leaving anyway. We have to put the belt on someone. This is who we picked. With Kevin and Sami, this is a story that just got started. We are only in chapter 2 of what could be a year-long story. And so now it's like, what happens next? Even if it's what I think is going to happen, what's going to happen because that happens? And I think a lot of people with Roman are still stuck on that WrestleMania. They're still stuck on, okay, he's going to win at WrestleMania. Well, okay, if he does, well, what do you think happens after that? If Brock leaves, you tell me what happens after that. You don't know, do you? Because you haven't thought it through. The wrestling community has not thought it through. They don't know what they have planned for Roman after WrestleMania. They don't know what they have planned for, well, Rollins, I don't know. But even, they make it sound like if Daniel Bryan doesn't win at WrestleMania, that's it. If Roman wins, that's it. It all ends right there. Not the next Monday, less than 24 hours later, we start from fresh again.
WWE ceases to exist.
Right? It's like, and Roman won the belt and rode off into the sunset. The end.
The new 52.
Right? We tune in on Monday and all of a sudden he's like CEO. It's like even if he wins the belt, that's why we all love this show, love this sport. Friggin' Kane had the belt for one day.
Yeah.
People overlook that. Okay, so assume, let's just take it to the absolute extreme, that Roman wins the belt, fights off Rollins, who loses his briefcase. Okay, Monday, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna show up? Who's gonna be suddenly, bam?
Who's gonna be that next?
I take out Roman.
Could
we
be
don't
anybody.
know. And that's why NXT, that's why Kevin is the deal. That's why he is a more legitimate champion in my mind than even Brock. Because Kevin's going to be there every week. Has been there every week since they hired him. Or at least since they put him on the air.
Yep.
And has been doing these mind games with Sami. Has been a presence. Brock is a presence when he wants to be. When he's contractually obligated to be.
Well, I like Brock.
Oh, I know.
In that sense. Again, talk a short little subject on the last one, and then we cut it off. Chris, real quick, your thoughts, your connection between the two. Again, we all know Roman Reigns was going to win the Royal Rumble. We were fed that for a couple of months. Kevin Owens, the last pay-per-view, the NXT pay-per-view, at the end of the match, he powerbombed Sami Zayn into the ring. Not in the ring, but
on the edge,
on the corner.
Yeah, which, mind you, looked very, very convincing. That it
sounds painful as is. Yeah.
So, knowing that Kevin Owens was going to possibly win that match against Sami Zayn, and again, we were fed a lot of times that Roman was going to win the Royal Rumble. How do you feel about the two coinciding on how they did? Roman winning the Royal Rumble and Kevin Owens winning.
I think it goes back over to what Ernest and Jonathan was saying about the whole situation, that the fans were hoping, begging, pleading, crying that Daniel Bryan would still win it somehow, would make up for what happened last year. And they were teased that when Daniel Bryan showed up, but then it was immediately robbed from them when they saw him getting immediately eliminated. So, sucked for them in that case, sucked for the universe when they were expecting him. And I don't know how much respect the current WWE universe has for The Rock these days. I don't know if it's still the same or it might be less, because I look back at it, and of course, I was a fan of the WWE during the Attitude Era as well as the Classic Era too. But to be fair, The Rock was only around the WWE. Well, he was around for a good while, to be fair. He was. Especially with his Rocky Maivia, persona back then. But I think the Rock persona was only around for, it felt to me, especially when you consider, superstars like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, all of them felt like those, legendary superstars had a lot more time to be around. The Rock, I only think he was around at least with the Rock persona, when he was finally recognized for 3-4 years before he was finally called in to the movie industry.
Yeah, I think he was only 3 years in, and then he just blew up after that because of his promos.
Yeah.
I think it was like 3, 4. I think it was like 3 WrestleManias, and then he had the Scorpion King. I think it was.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and that's what took him off. And for me personally, like the way I personally always felt about it, I'm not sure this is how the universe views it, and might also be reflected about the current WWE universe as well as a whole. But while I respected The Rock for the matches that he had, I felt like he kind of sold out in a way, because he, to be fair, he sold out for the better. Like he did what was good for him, which in this case was acting. Mm-hmm. But in terms of wrestling, I personally felt like he sold out. I felt like he could have done so much more, and he chose to act instead, which, once again, understandable, but come on, you could have given us so much more. And I personally, going back to the main subject with Roman Reigns, anything right? Roman Reigns, yeah. Roman. Going back to him, that might be the reason why, despite The Rock coming out and being all like, "Oh, look at him, look at my relative here. He won the championship. Celebrate with me, please." No one gave a damn shit about it. No one gave a shit, because that might be one possibility as to why. Because despite The Rock coming out, well, the universe might be saying, as one possibility, who the hell are you to say anything when you've barely been around for us as is? You've barely been around to show off your moves. You only come in like for one WrestleMania every 3 or 4 years. Why do we even care about what you say? That could be one possibility. I can't say for sure that's what as a whole is saying.
That brings an interesting subject all together.
That could be why they were angry. That's probably half of the reason why they're angry. The other half, obviously, because they want Daniel Bryan to win. But that could be the other half if we were to speculate on that. But back to Owens, with him winning, the comparison, like you guys said, completely newcomer. No one expected him to suddenly win the championship within 2 pay-per-views. And he's nobody that we really knew, but he's an underdog, kind of like Daniel Bryan's. So he's someone that we could root for, and hey, he won the championship. That's what I think is the difference in the very end. Like, you got a corporate level that's trying to push it like crazy, especially on Vince's end and The Rock's end. All business-like, all professional, and whatnot. While you got the NXT, which is focusing more on the the universe as a whole. That's what I think is the difference.
As you look at the path that these guys are taking, you have the hits and misses in the past. You had Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior. You had the Randy Savages, the Daniel Bryans, the Shawn Michaelses, the Undertakers. Those characters, there was a connection with the universe. We grew up. Shawn Michaels, underdog. We grew up with Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. We grew up with Edge. That's why Edge was so endearing in our hearts, and it was sad when he retired because he couldn't do it anymore. Guys who take advantage of the system, CM Punk, but there's a reason why we like CM Punk. He reminds us of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor, Adrian Neville, Sami Zayn, all these guys coming up into the NXT, going into the main roster. Their one goal is WrestleMania. Bottom line, having that one chance at glory to headline the biggest show, also known as the Showcase of Immortals, which we're coming into next month. To hold that title, to hold any of those titles, whether it be United States, the Intercontinental, now the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, there's history. Everyone wants to be part of history. You can't deny it. We're going to grow up with these guys for the next 10, 15 years. When we're gone, they're going to still be around. Well, they're going to grow old with us. These guys that are coming in, we're going to grow. It's a new generation. Our generation is already almost gone. The Attitude Era is gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's Kane, Big Show, Triple H.
Corporate Kane.
These guys are already getting ready to set into the sunset. We have 2 other guys who are in the mid, John Cena and Randy Orton. That's it. That's it for the Attitude Era. Mm-hmm. Kurt Angle in TNA, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy also in TNA. But the new crop, I think it's time for these guys, to we're gonna have to give them a chance. The internet wrestling community ruined Roman Reigns' moment.
They did,
and it was a shame.
This was not a Batista moment.
Yeah, this wasn't a Batista moment. Even Batista, he deserves it too, man. He gave his heart to wrestling. Yeah, he left because he was hurt.
Didn't he do acting too, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
But that could have also been the reason why the WWE universe was pissed off as a whole too.
But he fulfilled his contract.
Yeah.
Right, but if you're looking once again, you got the Rock syndrome where they're doing the acting, especially for Guardians of the Galaxies, as opposed to doing actual wrestling, and then he suddenly appears, and why is he suddenly appearing to take the title away? That's the reason why I think the WWE got
Well, yeah, they had a bad. I mean, the universe had a bad taste in their mouth on that because it was portrayed. It was told to us, and I don't even know that it went down that way, but it was told to us that the only reason he came back is because he was pretty much guaranteed the title. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's how it went down. I really don't. I think that they had an established superstar who at the time was sorely needed, and they were going to build a story around him. And he was committed for at least, I think, 2-3 years.
He's still under contract.
Yeah.
He's still under contract.
But the universe didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they made it known, and so he suffered for it. Like, I was not one of the ones either time that was like, oh, that person was going to win. I don't like that. Tell me the story you have written. Tell me the story you have planned, and I will judge the story. But I'm not going to take one chapter out of it and say, oh, I don't like it. Because it's not fair.
Exactly. I mean, it's a shame. Again, like I said, these guys work so hard in and out to give, just like any sport, basketball, football, mixed martial arts, boxing, anything could happen at any given time that could end their careers.
You know, I was just thinking about, okay, so I'm just going backtracking a little bit. We had Daniel Bryan win the champion last WrestleMania, correct?
Yep.
Okay, then he got hurt. Okay, you had the same thing with Roman Reigns where he was on a roll. People liked him, you know, because he had the feud with Seth Rollins, you know, leaving the backstabbing him and Dean Ambrose, but then he got hurt. Yeah. I think that's what really there's two differences. I don't know why there's two differences because you had, I think people still expect Daniel Bryan to be the champion after WrestleMania, even though he got hurt. They still want him to be champion,
of course.
But since you had the role, the momentum with Seth Rollins and the feud between him and Roman Reigns, I think people still expect that. They didn't expect him to come back and not fight Seth Rollins, well, I think he did for a little while, but then he got the huge push for WrestleMania. Then I think that's what kind of set people off, where it's like, well, we're supposed to be over here, but yet you pushed him to this area. It didn't. I guess it didn't sit well. Because again, I think people are still expecting Daniel Bryan to be champion still, you know, because of what happened in WrestleMania last year, you know, and I think that's what some people, I think maybe, you know, I'm just speaking my mind, but I think that's what people are probably have that mindset where that's where it still should be.
Yeah, again, it's the universe wants to connect. They've always been connected with the superstars that they like. You know, we grew up with Shawn, we grew up with Edge, we saw them evolve. We cry with these guys when they retire if we had a connection with these guys. You know, it was a somber moment when Edge made his announcement that he was retiring. Even with Alberto Del Rio, the situation with him when he left, we all knew it was like, who's gonna fill in that void? They haven't found it yet.
Nope.
That mid card and who he helps develop. They had one guy, Cesaro, but now he's in limbo because they don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
And they have these opportunities, and it's a shame that, you know, there's no more kayfabe, as we heard, you know, Triple H. Once the curtain call happened, everything blew out. The internet wrestling community just blew everything. You know, they pulled it too much. Mm-hmm. They pulled the curtain back too much. Now, again, Triple H says we're in the reality era. Well, guess what? I mean, they got the stars to do it. And it's time to push these. Not to say push them out, because right now this is the next golden age, and you have the right mix of talent. You have your movie stars. You had Piper Hogan. In this case, it's Batista, Rock. You have the right cream of the crop of the older guys. You got Randy Orton. You got Sheamus. Not Randy Orton. John Cena. Kane. Big Show. You have the solid mid-carders. Bray Wyatt. Antonio Cesaro. Daniel Bryan, who has actually a main eventer. And then you have your new talent. You have the right mix. It could be Attitude Era all over again, but just in a different sense. You don't need to have those hardcore matches anymore. You just have to do the right booking. And I think that's our main grief with WWE right now is creative.
Mm-hmm.
They have so much talent, they just don't know how to use it.
I think if you're talking about like the reality area,
Yeah.
the era. But then I think also too what it makes me facepalm when I see a lot of these gimmicks.
Yep.
You know, because they're not needed. If we're in this reality era, we know these gimmicks are fake as hell.
Yep.
You know, there's no need for them. Like that's why I love NXT, because there is no gimmicks.
Yeah.
You just have story. And when I look at Raw and SmackDown, I think of something for a kids show. You know, which essentially it is, because you have to cater to the kids now. It's no longer PG, you know, no longer Attitude Era, it's more PG. Whereas NXT, you know, can cater to the college kids.
Yep.
Back when it was supposed to be Attitude Era. So that's why I love NXT. It just, that's the only thing I see different.
Now, one last thing from NXT, if we didn't see it, we saw the interruption screen. Coming next week. Someone's coming next week to NXT. Could be from the main roster, could be a new superstar. Ernest, just a random, who do you think is coming next week?
I have
to
no
NXT?
idea what. I have no experience, or not experience, but I have no intelligence to try to figure out who's coming up next week at NXT. Now, I would assume it's somebody new. I mean, that's the only logical thing. But as far as my knowledge, I don't know who it is.
You don't know, Jonathan?
I can't speak to it either. I'm as Ernest was talking, I was trying to rack my brain to see if I could pull up anybody, but the only people I can pull up would not go through NXT, either because they're too old or too well known. You know, I know that with TNA's restructuring, there are some names out there that could be, but I don't see them going through NXT. But I mean, with like I said, with Triple H's fearlessness, you know, and doing what he did with Kevin, I mean, it could be almost anybody. It could be, you know, if the thing that I'm getting is it's probably not someone super, super high, simply because there hasn't been more emphasis on it. But with the way NXT is booked, it could still be almost anybody.
Chris, you want to take a crack, possibly?
Shane McMahon.
Whoa! That would blow the roof off of Full Sail University.
There you go.
Hey, like I said, just give a name, give a prediction. Chris,
Okay.
No, I seriously have no idea whatsoever. I'm assuming it could probably be some new talent that might be developing on one of the development sites that may be really popular. Like I said,
The Bunny.
Yeah, the bunny. The bunny. Anyone that's currently being developed, like in any of these indies that have drawn some sort of interest, I'm assuming could be one of them. But honestly, I can't think beyond that.
guys, I think I may have the pulse on who this cat is. I told Ernest about him. He is considered the last king. If you were to do it, I watch a lot of anime. Again, like that's why we're on Anime Fun TV. We want to pose them together. I watch a basketball anime. Off the things, they have the thing called the Uncrowned Kings. Right now, it's actually looking like it. The Uncrowned Kings: Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami. There's one more left, and I heard rumor that they signed him. Is it true? Guess we're gonna have to find out next week. But is the king of the crop? I think he's about 6'5", 6'4", 200 plus. Massive like Mark Henry, built like Titus O'Neil, and that is Uriah Nation. Uriah Nation, no one really knows about him, but this guy is a massive brick house of a man. It might be him. It might be someone. Rob Van Dam.
There's only one left. There's only one major ace that they have not hired that they might, and that's AJ, the phenomenal one. But he's too old to go through NXT.
I mean, I wouldn't put AJ in NXT. I have my wherever you are, Nick, in Virginia. I miss you. We have many conversations about AJ Styles in the WWE. I said no, he doesn't deserve to be in the WWE at all, period. He just doesn't fit the mold. in my opinion. Not worth it. Not to put anything on AJ Styles. Again, I love him.
Evan Bourne.
Evan Bourne coming back. Oh, jeez. That would be awesome. But now we're going to come into a close. We got one last thing. It's going to be real quick. Not going to be nothing too much. But we're going to come back real quick. We're going to take a quick break and do our sign-off. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting closer to the end of the show. One last quick question. Rapid fire. Chris, WWE title you'd like to see come back?
Hardcore Championship. That is the one I've been wanting for I don't know how long. I know it's less likely considering the PG era that we're in now, but that's the one I would always beg for the most.
Jonathan?
My initial response is hardcore, but more realistic. I think if they split the title again, or if they brought back the European.
Huh? Ernest?
Actually, I would like to see two main championship belts again. You have the World title, then you have the WWE title. Because I kind of like the old WCW, that belt. That's why.
The big gold belt.
Yeah, I always loved that belt.
Oh yeah, man, that's history. That's always going to be history.
On Goldberg.
Yeah.
My title that I would like to see back dates back from the WWF was the last inception of this belt, and it would give legitimate more time for the women wrestlers, and that would be the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships come back. It will give something more solidified, and you can have the Bella Twins win it, defend it, and they both have titles. It makes sense to me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ending of our podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, you could catch us at Anime Fun TV. You could follow me on the Fatal 4-Way Jesse Lopez on YouTube, the Fatal 4-Way Podcast on Facebook, at SA Demon 2010 on Twitter. You could also follow my friend Chris SeiferA Gloria on it's at SeiferA on Twitter.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we also have a Card Game Central if you're into card games. Look up youtube.com/Card Game Central. Should be able to find that, or just do a general search on Card Game Central. Barely getting the show started. Hoping to do some reviews, and who knows, maybe I'll even do a review on the card game that was based on the WWF at one point.
Whoa! I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Ernest, any new episodes? Anything to say on Anime Fun TV?
Nothing yet. I'm going to Furry Fiesta. Basically have a AMV panel there. Essentially just showing off some of the best stuff we've had submitted to Anime Fun TV as far as the AMV contest. I do want to do a small plug. Cartoon Intro sing-along from Mars Girl will be there too on late Friday night. So please catch those panels so that way we can make sure to see you guys and all that kind of stuff.
Jonathan, anything in the future? Anything?
Nothing specific. I like doing this stuff, so we'll see what happens.
Cool. Again, shout out to Mars Girl Productions. Mars Girl, make sure you catch her at Furry Fiesta?
Yeah, late Friday night, basically 1 a.m. in the morning. She's going to have a Cartoon Intro sing-along. And then, of course, Saturday night, we have the AFTV AMV Showcase. Sorry, it's a long name, but it's a showcase of all the AMVs that we had submitted from Anime Fun TV from San Japan all the way to currently now, essentially. So it's just a mix, 2 hours with the AMVs, and just come out and check it out.
Cool. Again, you could also follow Mars Girl on YouTube, Mars Girl Productions. A big shout out to Caitlin and Josh for the stuff that they did at MacFest. Chris was there. You guys did a great job again. Thank you guys for tuning into the Fatal 4-Way podcast. I know this is our longest one. It's because we actually had 4 people.
More topics, more discussion.
And they were interesting topics, so I hope you follow us again. Make sure you join the discussion. Y'all have a great night. God bless y'all.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.